Welcome to a world of Klask. Listen to me, my beautiful son, it's time for some arithmetic. What happens if you take one wood, one ball, and times it by 7 small bits of plasticky magnet things? That's right, it's Klask. And this is a review that has so little to say that I'm already pouring myself a really nice warm bath of absolute nonsense. 2 players go head to head in this battle of skill, speed and precision, and it all works via the magic of magnets and moving your hands underneath a small table like a frankly substandard children's magician. First to 6 points wins, and there are 3 ways to score a point. First of all, you can score a goal. Secondly, the other player gets a point if you lose control of your plastic buddy and can't retrieve him via the natural power of magnets, or if you unfortunately clunk your player piece into your own goal. That is literally called a Klask within the game, although I'll be damned when I'm playing if after literally anything happens I don't put my hands in the air and say, "That's Klask!" Finally, and I've saved the absolute best until last, you get a point if at any point the other player ends up with 2 of these little white magnety things stuck to them. There's a typo in the manual, unfortunately. It says that these things are called biscuits, which just isn't true at all, because I mean, like these are biscuits, unless of course you're in America, in which case you call them cookies, but I mean, that's nonsense. These are cookies, which are also biscuits. But then again, America thinks that these are biscuits, and honestly, I'm not gonna get into typos in the rules of America because there's an awful lot of mistakes in there. Anyway, I've been calling them cakes because I misremembered it from the manual and just telling everyone that they're cakes. You know, this is a cake, by the way, in case you're not sure what a cake is, or as you call it in America, a sweet wheel of carbs. So that's what Klask is, and now here's why it's so fantastic. First of all, these little cakey biscuit boys are tiny nuggets of actual hubris, because yes, you can just try and score a goal, but if you're already winning and you think the other player isn't as good as you, then why not instead try to knock these little cakes with the ball onto the other player? But of course, as tiny magnets, these biscuits will either jump towards your player or away from them, depending on which way they're facing. And did we mention that you can tell which of these 2 things will happen by physically looking at the biscuit on the table? How deep does this Klask hole go? If you can get all 3 of the biscuits onto their side of the pitch, then you can just laugh as they weave around trying to avoid a big hole and these 3 tiny magnetic landmines, like a Premier League footballer having an unexpectedly colourful day. But then if you faff around trying to be clever, well, the other player will probably catch up, and then lo and behold, you are both having fun. Perfect. And you know what else is perfect? This thing snugly fits into its box, which then has a handle, which means you can carry it around and play it literally wherever you want. But it means it's not yet another gigantic strange object that you have to somehow fit into your life. Lastly, it is cheap. £40 or $40 for what is effectively a better version of air hockey that you can play in your home whenever you like is a bit of a steal. And also, like, yeah, it's very small, but when you get really close to it like this and you're playing, it doesn't feel small, because when you physically get closer to objects, they appear to be actually bigger. Why is that? Because of Klask. And I know what you're thinking. Earlier this year, Quentin was effusive about Crokinole, the legendary dexterity game of flicking wooden discs that is compelling and thrilling and varies wildly depending on the state of your board. Older boards will be rough and crunchy and powerful and flicky. New, beautiful ones will be glissy and smooth, and a Crokinole board is something that's so much more beautiful and wonderful to own. But they're also wildly more expensive to varying degrees, and frankly also require you to store a giant wooden disc somewhere in your house. Crokinole is the kind of game you get handed as an heirloom from your kindly grandfather, while Klask is a game that you get asked to hold on to for a few days from your cool uncle, and then you get to keep because he gets arrested in Bolivia and never comes home. Crokinole is a Werther's original, round, smooth and reassuringly familiar, while Klask is a plain crisp, light, angular, undeniably classic, and with a good chance of leaving someone pleasingly salty. I win again.
Best of 3.
By the way, crisps, if you're an American, are what you would call potato chips. But of course, that's kind of ridiculous because we call these chips, and they're also made of potatoes. Of course, in America, you would call these chunky fries, which is ridiculous because actually, of course, a chunky fry is one of these. In America, of course, you'd call this the big old disc of Great British holes. And in your culture, you would butter it, stand up, salute, and then hurl it across the room like a discus. But I hope that despite our differences, we can all agree that this is Klask.